Retreats can garner an additional 5 to 6 figures of profit per a single in-person event, plus they can make your other offers easier to sell. Now that's a powerhouse in leverage. And if you're a coach, influencer, business owner who has an audience that's experiencing your results, but you're searching for that next big growth lever, then in-person experiences can be the thing that you are looking for. Now let me explain why. I see it all the time. Successful business owners create the trust, they create the authority, they're delivering on results, but growth starts to feel incremental. It's always tied to more sales calls, more digital products, and it just feels like this never-ending cycle. Now you pair it with the fact that the noise online is becoming louder than ever. There's more competition in this space. There's more digital products, so consumers are being more conscious of where they're spending. So what we need to do is stand above the competition. We need to diversify and stand out. And this is a really powerful way because digital products, while they're incredibly powerful, and I know firsthand because I have built and scaled a coaching program that helped clients lose collectively over 2,000 pounds. That work mattered and it was important. However, I was really understanding that I wanted to go deeper with my clients. And that's where businesses start to get to. They get to this level where they recognize that digital products are great for scale and growth, but not necessarily designed for depth and proximity. And we start to ask ourselves when we get to a certain level of success, we say, what can get me to that next level? Because oftentimes what's going to get us to that next jump isn't what we've already done. So in-person experiences can be incredibly powerful because they are specifically designed for that depth measure, that mechanism that can help our clients get to that next level. Now, when you pair this with what we're seeing in the industry at large, there's a big cultural shift happening. Travel and wellness experiences are currently a $1 trillion global industry, and it's slated to become a $2 trillion industry by 2030. Now, this has become a juggernaut force because people are no longer simply spending money on things, they're spending money to experience life. They want to travel, immerse themselves in cultures. They want to go on experiences that help them shift the way that they feel, the way that they live, and give them skills and tools that they can bring back home. This immense shift in how people are spending money is a great indication that retreats are not going anywhere and certainly a time to incorporate into your business. And I have seen this really be able to elevate my brand because it's helped me be able to do things like take clients that could barely tie their shoes when they first started working with me online to being able to work with them for several months, then have them come to a retreat and watch them climb a mountain in South Africa. That type of transformation that can occur doesn't just create phenomenal testimonials, it creates massive brand loyalty. And it naturally creates this situation where clients are leaning into your brand and your company and saying, what's next? Because this is amazing. This is so unique. I can't get this anywhere else. I want to keep coming back. So I want to pause for a moment and just go through why I'm so passionate about this, because I didn't start teaching people how to run retreats. I actually built them for myself. For the last better part of a decade, I have built, refined, and scaled multiple seven-figure business, and retreats were a huge part of that business growth. Not as a side hustle, but as a core lever that helped my business strategically move forward. I have seen incredible transformations take place that really I don't believe would be able to happen in the online digital space alone. But the combination of online digital coaching and in-person retreats really got these people to break through that ceiling and get to that next level of transformation. And the transformations that I have seen have been absolutely awe-inspiring. And I really recognize this journey because I myself was in corporate America before hosting retreats. I hit the proverbial burnout, I was exhausted, I was living for the weekend, and I really realized there has to be more than this. So I did something radical at the time. I quit my job, I saved enough money to travel the world for a year, and I went. I did 18 countries that first year. I stayed in yoga resorts and Cambodia and Bali. I learned to scuba dive and surf, and I was just allowing myself to be still, to heal, and to come back down into who I was beneath the noise of the modern day lifestyle. And in that practice, I healed. I got better clarity on who I wanted to be, how I wanted to live my life when I wasn't always in reactive mode. And listening to fellow travelers, I recognized how much of an appetite this was and how my circumstance wasn't unique. There were other people having the same profound shift and these new tool sets and skills that they could bring back home, because traveling is the best education. It's so humbling when you immerse yourself in other cultures, and there's so many ways that you can heal and restore. And that's when it really clicked for me. Travel can be medicine, and it can be a form to help us lead towards transformation that we seek, that can sometimes be very difficult to receive when we're stuck in the reactive mode, we're stuck in the grind of the day-to-day world. And that's when I really realized that retreats have such a place in the space of coaching. They have such a place in helping build transformation, because in a world of AI and digital products, we still need in-person connection and community. So for the last almost decade, I have been a huge believer in retreats. I have hosted over 700 people around the world. I've hosted in 9 countries. My retreats garner anywhere from 5 to 6 figures of profit per an event. Plus, I've been able to do phenomenal things. Like in one retreat alone in Thailand, we were able to donate enough for 47 kids to have school uniforms to go to school for an entire year. So when you talk about impact, not only for your clients and yourself and your community and the world, retreats are that lever. So I'm very excited to show you, if you're looking for how to take your business to the next level, figuring out, is this a growth lever that would really work for you? I'm going to share with you my framework, which is the retreat revenue blueprint. And we're going to go through the 5 dimensions that are going to show you how they're really profitable, how they help you generate income, and they help you extend the lifetime value and impact for each client. Let's get into it. So let's dive into the retreat revenue blueprint and how this framework can be utilized to understand how retreat strategically will increase the lifetime value of your client, the impact, and the income for your business. The first dimension that I want to bring up is the fact of positioning, because in today's marketplace, what I highly recommend is not going to market with a cold audience directly with retreats. Comparatively to a decade ago when I got started in the retreat industry, the space has become quite noisy and there's a lot of competition. However, for those of us who start with an initial offer and start building know, like, trust with our audience and are delivering some sort of transformation, this can be a very smart, intentional lever to go for that next rung. Because in today's society, now if you launched a retreat, you're competing with a lot of other retreats out there. But if you go to market for your audience, they have know, like, trust with you. They've seen your transformation. They're likely ready to go on a retreat with you and want that opportunity to work with you in person. So this positioning is a really powerful combination. It's going to help you stand above the competition, and it's going to help ensure that you have sold out retreats, which is incredibly important. The next thing I want to talk about when it comes to positioning is the fact that post-retreat, you have built solid brand authority and fandom. What I see for a lot of coaches is they end up kind of standing here at this digital space where they have some products online, they're doing really well, but they want to get more of their clients into that upper echelon, into the masterminds. However, that delta can sometimes be difficult and that conversion rate can be lower than they would like. So when you talk about positioning your business line in your funnel, having retreats in there can be that strategic lever that can help you get more of the conversion rate into your high ticket masterminds, coaching programs, premium offers, because retreats create such a catalyst of change and transformation that people naturally are going to want to know what's that next step to work with you. The next thing we're going to go over is the container that retreats create, because what I think is really special here is that they create a space where you can work with your clients distraction-free, because even the most profound work when done on a digital space is competing with the world, right? We're taking Zoom calls from kitchens. We've got clients who are also caregivers and employees, and they are constantly having all these different masks and identities that make it very difficult for them to really just focus on the transformation. But when you come into a retreat, you have focus without interruption. Imagine what you could achieve in a few days of having the ability to help curate the food that your clients are eating, the experiences that they're having, the nervous system regulation and reset that you could help perform for them or curate for them that could help fast track that transformation. That's incredibly powerful because you have control of the elements of the container. The identity reset, oftentimes when we have all these masks on of, being a caretaker, being an employee, having deadlines, it's difficult to really start to create profound integration because we tend to have this start-stop mentality. But when we are on a retreat, we really have the opportunity to integrate on a profound level and really take the learnings and implement them in time. This all kind of stems together to create a lot of psychological and emotional safety. And as many of us know, that resetting of that parasympathetic back down into parasympathetic rest and digest state is so important, especially in today's society. We are go, go, go. We are in reactive mode. Our cortisol and stress levels are so high that it can be difficult to create change from that space. So helping your clients be able to come back down into a state of equanimity paves the way for transformation that really is fast tracking that time horizon to getting them to their goals and their results. And ultimately, this is going to accelerate their insights. It's going to help build your authority, your brand trust, and is going to get them faster. So that's why it really stands out from what the work that can be done in digital spaces alone. Immersion is really important here because this is what helps kind of create that trust and that loyalty faster than just an online space can. And I absolutely love this idea because within my business, I hosted retreats for 8 years. I had some clients come to as many as 9 retreats. Translate that, that means that sometimes I see my clients more than once a year. Now, it's not because I'm constantly pushing and doing sales calls and trying to hard close them into these natural progressions. It's because they genuinely want to attend these retreats. Not that they need more content and they need to get the next kind of information from me, but because retreats now become a part of their journey. It becomes a part of, their annual plan. And what's so beautiful here is that beyond a single event, this creates continuity. And so I actually would have people on retreat in, for example, Thailand, and I would open up a retreat in Argentina that's at that same time. So people would be there at the dinner table starting to talk to each other, be like, are you thinking about going to Argentina? Yeah, are you? Okay, I want to go too. So that when we opened up the cart for that, boom, we sold out of a retreat in one weekend. No sales calls, no objection handling. We were literally working on another retreat and it just sold out. So this is where you create urgency and demand because your ecosystem becomes very immersive, where your community is congregating and talking to each other and inspiring each other, and you get to be kind of that matrix for which they get to move along and continue this work and journey together. And I think, in today's society, people are craving authentic spaces where they can feel seen, feel heard, and be themselves. And retreats can create that community that people are looking for. This shared identity of I'm the type of person who I travel and I invest in myself and my health and wellness. And people start recognizing me as I'm the retreat attendee, and that's something that has a lot of value to me. People really place a lot of worth upon who they get to be in these spaces because it is such a great signal of their transformation and the efforts that they're putting forth. And ultimately, this really leads towards that long-term loyalty. So it's not always about kind of the incremental steps in the next digital product. It can be, hey, I can't wait I just saw you opened up a new destination. I'm so excited to join you there. And so that immersion component and the continuity and community is incredibly valuable, not only for your brand, but also your community. The fourth is expansion, and I want to pause here for a moment. So if this is feeling like, hey, this feels like maybe what my business has been missing to get me to that next level of growth, pulling that next lever, then I highly recommend that you go ahead. There's a link below where you can book a retreat strategy call with me. No pressure, but if this is resonating with you, then I would love to walk through how this can really work with inside of your business. But let's continue on to expansion because this is one of my favorite elements. And I'm going to use myself here as a personal example. So within coaching, this is the really powerful point where we can see here that coaching can be that consistent recurring revenue. And so in my practice, our coaching business was bringing in around 50K consistent months. And so that was keeping the lights on, keeping the teams paid, something that we could count on for our paychecks and everything else. And that's a really great stability lever that we can pull. However, when retreats come into play, those can be an additional 5 to 6 figures of profit moments that you can have. And for me, a sweet spot was one retreat a quarter. So if I'm pulling in some of my top earning events were 6 figures of profit, $100,000 of profit per an event, and I can pull in $50,000 every month, that means in 1 week, I can pull in $100,000 or the same as 2 months of digital sales. That's no new sales calls because I'm oftentimes retargeting my own audience. That's, not creating new digital products, more offerings. That's offering something that my audience is craving because as we've seen in the cultural shift, people want these travel experiences, they want these transformations, and I'm giving them the next rung so I'm not having to continue to pull new clients. I can extend the lifetime value of my current clients, and that interest in those retreats also stimulates the appetite for them to move up to those masterminds and those bigger products. So when we talk about expansion, retreats are an incredibly powerful lever because they help all elements of their business, of your business. They help, increase the revenue streams that are coming in, and they help make it easier to sell the products that you already have existing. So that is incredibly powerful, and it stands out that you don't have to constantly be launching. These can be kind of this plug and play. You do 4 retreats a year. You can change up the venues that you go to, but people likely are going to really be wanting and excited and looking forward to these. So that's just really going to help continue that expansion lever that you have. I think that a lot of people can get a little bit misaligned here and think that, well, I'm not a yoga teacher or meditation coach, so I can't host retreats. And in actuality, we are seeing that retreats are playing incredibly well across many different industries. I've seen them play well for educators, for even fashion brands that want to teach people how to run their own brands. So coaching, education. If you have a business with vision and you want to work with your people in person, distraction free, this is a powerful lever that you can pull. Finally, coming into ascension. Now, this is really powerful because the retreat isn't the end. What I love here is that it's actually the bridge, and it's the bridge into what comes next for you. So kind of as I had that visual of digital products here, mastermind up here, you get to rocket ship them up into that moment, not by upselling, not by hard pushing, but the natural ascension of, oh my gosh, that was the most transformational week of my life. What comes next? How can I continue this journey? And that continual acceleration becomes really powerful. So for my practice, for example, I worked with clients in the weight loss space. And when you first start with them, it's just about fixing their habits and getting them to have some momentum and some interest and some commitment and dedication. As they continue to grow and they build that foundation, that framework, now you can start elevating your coaching practice and talking about more of the things as that ownership grows that's going to help them have more autonomy in this process. And then they come on a retreat with you in person, and they get to experience all the things that they've been learning and seeing it put into practice, and how fun it can be and enjoyable, and how wellness can actually be a way to live your life in a way that is very fulfilling. And then they continue with you in your mastermind, and then they get to go on an alumni-only retreat. When you get to be a coach that starts with somebody from A and goes all the way up to Z, and seeing people do things like reverse their pre-diabetes diagnoses, climb mountains, that type of transformation creates lifetime clients because you're able to continue to deliver and continuing to level them up. So it's incredibly powerful because you're going to show them the next aligned steps here that are going to get them to where they want to go and really giving them that next step. So if this is speaking to you, if you feel like this has been perhaps what's missing in your business and you've been looking at a way to expand your impact, pull that next level of growth, get your business to that next level, get more people into your masterminds and understand how to drive deeper impact and in-person experiences, then I encourage you to go ahead and click the link below, book a retreat strategy call with me. Let's hop on a call and see how we can really implement this framework into your business. And if you're not quite there yet and you still have some questions and you're still still a little unclear, please go ahead and drop them in the comments below. I'm here to support. I read every single comment, and I'm so thrilled that you're here. Thank you for sticking around. I immensely appreciate you.